and welcome to episode 6 of Quote of the Week. In this episode, we're going to be looking at a key quote from J.B. Priestley's and Inspector Cole's. Today's quotation is from a key moment in Act 3 where the inspector embarks upon a soliloquy talking to the rest of the characters on stage, and he says, "And I tell you that the time will soon come when if men do not learn that lesson, they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish." So, just like in previous videos, I'd like you to get your whiteboards out, and on your mini whiteboards, I'd like you to make notes on the following. I want you to identify what techniques or language devices you can spot in this quotation. I want you to identify any key words that you might want to analyse. I want you to discuss the impact on the audience and how an audience might interpret the key language. And finally, I want you to tell me what we learn about life in the post-war era. The time is going to start now. Off you go. Okay, on the slide in front of you can see a series of different linguistic devices that Priestley has used in the following quote. We can see that he's used an adverb, we can see that polysyndeton has been used, which is when the writer repeats the use of and in a sentence. We can see that he's creating a semantic field through the imagery that is created through words like fire, blood and anguish. We learn something about the tone here. It seems to be quite a serious and threatening tone. Also, the use of the nouns fire, blood and anguish is a triadic list. And finally, he's speaking using direct address. When it comes to analysing this quotation, there's actually a lot that can be revealed. Firstly, we can see that in this moment, the inspector is functioning as a teacher, but he's also issuing a stern warning to the characters on stage and the audience. He uses threatening conditional language, and this puts us on edge. The use of the adverb soon creates an ominous effect, which would obviously alarm an audience who'd just been through World War II. The semantic field of violence and misery that's created will be all too recognisable for a post-war audience. The use of the modal verb will overtly signals the didactic part of a play. Remember, a didactic play is something that is designed to entertain but also to teach. Think about the inspector's positioning on stage here. It's quite likely that in this moment he wouldn't be speaking directly to the characters alone, but he might be turned slightly to face the audience themselves. Finally, we can see, in this monologue, he's in complete control. The polysyndetic list emphasises the intensity of his message, and when we see the inspector speaking here, in this long, intense monologue, it calls to mind the way that Burling spoke at the start of the play, but now there has been an intense power shift in the household, with the inspector controlling the attention of everybody on stage. On this slide, you can see some examples of terminology that you might want to use in an essay if you were responding to this quotation. As ever, feel free to pause the video, and if there's any language that you don't understand, please ask your PD tutor for clarification. And to finish up today, there are a few questions on the left-hand side of the screen for you to think about and respond to, and on the right-hand side you can see an exemplar essay response that would get you an extremely high grade in an exam scenario. So feel free to pause this slide now, and on your mini whiteboards, answer the questions in the yellow box. Thanks very much for watching today, and I'll see you next week.